Hello, and welcome to North American Savings Bank's Community Development Services training session titled Cybersecurity, It's Important and a Priority. Thank you for joining us. My name is Natalie Rowe. I am NASB's AVP, Community Development Manager. My role is to serve as an ambassador for the organization, to seek updates on the needs of the community we serve as it relates to our Community Reinvestment Act initiatives, and to provide a bridge of communication of the needs from our community partners to our organization. North American Savings Bank is a community bank who serves the following counties in our assessment area: Buchanan, Cass, Clay, Jackson, Lafayette, and Platte in Missouri, Johnson and Wyandotte in Kansas. NASB was founded in 1927 on the principles of strength and security and is one of the country's leading home mortgage lenders. Serving our customers' banking and lending needs for over 90 years, NASB makes banking easy and convenient for our customers. Our programs and services are specifically focused on depository banking, residential lending, commercial and construction lending, and residential loan servicing. Today, we are excited to share information through 10 bullet points that will speak to the importance of having a cybersecurity focus at your organization and how to prioritize the targeted topics. Let's take a moment to review the associated disclaimer. Now, I would like to introduce you to my colleague and friend, Jeff Jackson, NASB's Vice President, Chief Information Security Officer, who will share about his role and the content of today's training session. Jeff?
Thank you, Natalie. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Jackson. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer, Vice President at North American Savings Bank. Happy to be with you today. Let's talk about the cybersecurity threat landscape. The current threat landscape in cybersecurity is dynamic and constantly evolving. An overview of some of the major trends and threats are: number one, all of you have heard about ransomware attacks. It targets critical infrastructure, and they are increasingly targeting systems such as hospitals, energy grids, local and state government and institutions, even the water supply systems. No institution is immune from these cyber attacks. Double extortion. Attackers not only encrypt data, but they also steal it, threatening to release it unless a ransom is paid. The data can be used for identity theft, or they can sell it on the dark web. Ransomware as a service, or known as RAS. This model allows the less technically skilled criminals to launch ransomware attacks using tools developed by others. Bad actors no longer need to create their malware. They can just purchase it from a menu of options that well-organized criminal organizations create and sell to people who want to exploit it. Phishing and social engineering. Spear phishing is a highly targeted attack aimed at specific individuals or organizations, often using information gathered from social media or other public sources. Business email compromise, or otherwise known as BEC, is where attackers impersonate executives or trusted partners to trick employees into transferring funds or sharing sensitive information, including giving access to systems. Advanced persistent threats, known as APTs. These are used by nation state actors. They're highly sophisticated groups, often backed by nation states, that conduct prolonged and targeted attacks to steal intellectual property, gather intelligence, or disrupt operations. Supply chain attacks, compromising software or hardware vendors that you may utilize to infiltrate your network through their systems. And we've seen some high-profile incidents that had major impacts worldwide recently, such as the SolarWinds breach. The Internet of Things, also known as IoT, insecure devices that lack robust security measures that may be hanging off your network. They could be cameras, they could be door alarms, they could be various things that don't have a lot of security around them, but the bad actors compromise these if they are not secured And then they can also use them to launch as a launch point for distributed denial of service attacks to any other organization. Some cloud security threats are misconfigured cloud services. I see this frequently where the cloud can be very secure or it can be very insecure. If it's not configured correctly, it can be a major cause of data breaches in your environment. You also have insider threats. Malicious insiders and accidental insiders pose significant risk in your environment and in the cloud. Zero-day exploits, exploits of unpatched vulnerabilities that can be quickly exploited before they're discovered by the vendor or able to be patched by the vendor, allow an easy access before the antivirus systems can be set up to catch that. So those are zero-day exploits are a critical risk. With that, vendors have set up bug bounty programs to help discover and fix vulnerabilities. If they can't find them all themselves, they set up a bug bounty program where they'll pay individuals in the public area to try to get into their systems, and they'll give them a fee if they find anything where it might be a weakness so they can patch it. Crypto jacking, that's an unauthorized mining, getting to computing resources for cryptocurrency. Often it's without the victim's knowledge. Data breaches and privacy concerns, massive data leaks, large-scale data leaks continue to expose personal and sensitive information. I know I recently got a letter from AT&T saying my information had been exposed, and they offered me credit monitoring, just to give you an example. Privacy concerns, such as regulatory compliance, where you must navigate the complex regulatory environments like GDPR, CCPA, and the different regulatory environments for your organization. Now we'll talk about the importance of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity plays a critical role in protecting sensitive data and maintaining trust with your users, your customers, and your partners. It's a foundational element for the smooth operation of a modern digital system. An overview of the significance of the importance of cybersecurity, preventing data breaches. For example, healthcare organizations hold vast amounts of sensitive patient information. Effective cybersecurity measures are essential to prevent breaches that can express that private health information. Breaches like the ones experienced by a healthcare provider network, where 3 million patients' data was exposed, highlight the severe impact on privacy and trust. Financial services are also prime targets for criminals, cybersecurity criminals, due to the sensitive financial damage they can inflict. So robust cybersecurity practices help safeguard against unauthorized access, fraud, and financial loss. Compliance and regulations, regulations also include GDPR, HIPAA for healthcare organizations, GLBA, Sarbanes-Oxley, and CCPA, and they have strict security measures, protocols to protect personal data. Organizations must implement these protocols to comply with these laws and avoid hefty fines and legal repercussions. Mitigating ransomware. Cybersecurity measures are crucial in preventing ransomware that can cripple operations, as seen in incidents that we've recently seen at Liberty Hospital in North Kansas City, as well as the Kansas State Judicial Branch. Defenses help ensure that organizations can maintain their operations and recover swiftly from such attacks. Maintaining trust, building customer confidence, reputation management. Data breaches can severely damage an organization's reputation, leading to a loss of customer trust. By demonstrating strong cybersecurity practices, organizations can reassure customers that their data is safe, information is safe, and they're maintaining and enhancing customer loyalty. Next thing I'd like to talk about to support this is cybersecurity best practices. Implementing robust cybersecurity practices is essential for protecting sensitive data and maintaining trust. Here are some of the best practices recommended by experts. Number one, regularly update and patch your systems. There should be a weekly or monthly cadence where you check for available patches, test them in your environment before putting into production to make sure there's no impact to production negative. And this should be at least on a monthly cycle, and more frequently would be even better. And these are available from your vendor for all your systems. The next thing for cybersecurity best practice is a strong password policy. Passwords no longer can be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They can't just be 8 characters. They need to be alphanumeric using special characters, including spaces. I encourage the use of phrases that only you know and at least 15 characters in length. Anything less than 15 characters, once the bad actor has a password file, it can take as little as 5 to 10 minutes to crack every password in the file due to the strength of the computers. And as the computers get better, that time will go down. So 15 characters or more, and alphanumeric with special characters is recommended. Another critical thing to best practice is multi-factor authentication. That anything multi-factor can be 2 things, 3 things, 4 things, but there should be more than one way to verify. So if somebody gets a password, they should have to have something else, like text a special code to your phone, or it could be a biometric, using your thumb. But make sure you have at least 2 factors. The more factors, the better. Use automatic updates wherever possible so you don't miss any updates. Updates come out from antivirus vendors daily. So you for zero 0-day threats, it's best to have the automatic updates turned on if you can in your environment, especially on your workstations, because it'll apply those fixes in real time as they're released from the vendor. Now let's talk about employee awareness and training. Employee awareness is a critical component of your cybersecurity strategy. Most cybersecurity incidents are through phishing attacks, which come through human error because people are tricked into clicking on a link. So a key piece of your strategy should be training your staff and make an ongoing training to make sure they recognize and detect threats coming into your environment, because that's a leading cause of security breaches. And an overview of the best practices includes regular training sessions, ideally quarterly, and keep employees updated on the latest threats and security protocols, and cover any topics such as phishing, social engineering, password security, data protection, safe internet usage, and tailor the content each quarter to different roles within your organization. So you may have a frontline customer service person that may need a little bit different training than a back office person because of their environment. Interactive learning, use engaging formats. You want to keep people interested and engaged in the training. You can have training methods such as workshops, webinars, e-learning modules, and what your focus is trying to do is engage and enhance retention. I like to use scenario-based training, real-world examples, to make it more relevant and people can relate it to their environment and make it more impactful. So it helps employees understand the practical implications of their actions. Security awareness campaigns are important. You can run continuous awareness campaigns using emails, posters, newsletters, and intranet updates to keep cybersecurity top of mind. There's also a cybersecurity month every year. The National Cybersecurity Awareness Month in October highlights special themes and provides activities and events. Phishing simulations are good. Simulated attack, you could regularly conduct phishing testing for your employees. I recommend that, so they get to practice at least on a monthly basis to see different phishing attempts, because you want the staff to get used to seeing phishing things. And also very important, how to report them. What do they do when they see phishing? Do they forward it to the help desk? Who do they report it to? And how do they handle it? Because other employees in your organization are likely getting the same phishing attack, and they may or may not have seen it. So it's good to have a process of how you handle the phishing so you can block it to getting to other staff. I like to keep performance metrics to track progress. KPIs are a good way to measure the effectiveness of your training. And if you monitor your KPIs, the metrics can help you have a better program to see how well your employees are doing. Is the training making them better in detecting cybersecurity incidents like phishing? So it's good to keep metrics so you can track your performance and tailor your plan to for the most effectiveness on an ongoing basis. Now we'll talk about data protection and encryption. Encryption is a critical component of cybersecurity. It's essential for protecting your information from unauthorized access and ensuring data integrity. If somebody can get access to a file or the contents of an email and it's not encrypted, it's quite easy to read. But adding encryption makes it hard, if not impossible, to open that email. It's another layer of your defense. Um, it helps keep data confidential, even if it's intercepted. So it's a critical piece of your protection. So you need to make sure any media, emails, uh, what's sitting on a person's personal computer, setting in the cloud, if it's confidential, it should be encrypted, and you should make sure that's in place, and you should periodically check it to make sure the encryption is still in place. I've seen instances where something you thought was encrypted may not be because a vendor update changed the settings. So there should be a process in place when you apply a patch or an update to also check your settings, because you don't want to assume that's still in place and find out it's not. Ensuring data integrity, you want to prevent data tampering, and encryption helps you do that uh, by using cryptographic hash functions within the encryption. You can tell if a file's been tampered with or not. So you want to make sure that it's a valid file, and that's another good reason to use encryption. Next, we'll talk about incident response planning. Incident response planning is essential to manage and mitigate the impact of a cybersecurity incident. Many security experts will say it's not a matter of if you're going to get hacked or have a cybersecurity incident, it's when. So if that's true, because we do see a lot of cybersecurity incidents, then you should be practicing for what you will do in case that happens. So you should have an incident response plan, also known as an IRP, and it's a good lay guide that's documented on how you're going to detect, what you're going to respond to, and how you plan to recover quickly and efficiently. Because, for example, you don't want everybody going to the newspaper and giving their side of the story of what they saw. You should have a consistent focal point for everybody to provide this information to senior management, so they have a good abstract view of what has happened in the environment, and they are the communication, because you want accurate information provided to the public and your customers and partners. Some things to include in the plan are the policy and scope. Define your policy of the plan and the scope. What systems are going to be impacted? What type of incidents are you covering? Assign your roles and responsibilities to team members. Ensure that everyone knows their task. Training, regularly train on incident response procedures. You need to keep them updated, and you need to meet with your team. And I like to do tabletops and do various tabletops throughout the year of potential things that could happen in your environment. So you do a walkthrough of and look for any gaps on how you could do things better. So tabletops, I highly recommend those. You should also consider detection tools, such as intrusion detection systems, antivirus software, SIM, which is security information and event management systems, which correlate logging between various systems. You should also consider monitoring your network traffic and system logs to see if there's any suspicious behavior and potential security breaches. Also, in your incident response plan, you want to cover short and long-term containment. What are you going to do if, for example, you find something on a server or a workstation? What are your steps to contain that, to keep it isolated from affected systems and getting into other people's accounts or system accounts? But you also need to maintain that system so you can do your forensics and find out what happened. Um, Root cause analysis should be in your plan. You should identify the root cause of the incident and remove the threat from the environment. It should also be within the plan, a restoration and recovery, how you're going to clean those systems, how you're going to recover from backups, where the backups are located, who has access, and how you're going to test those before you put them back into production. You don't just want to copy a backup file right into production. You need to put them into a test area, isolated, and make sure that the system works the way it wants. But you also need to make sure that the bad actor is not in that system as well, because they could be in your backups. So you need to carefully look at that in the test area first. And then lastly, I want to make sure you look at lessons learned. How well did you recover from the incident? What could you have done better? Where could you improve? And documentation is critical. Document all your findings, actions taken, and lessons learned, and update your plan as needed. Next, I'd like to talk about vendor and supply chain security. With the cloud, a lot of systems are now moving to cloud-based, which means it's going to be on a vendor in a lot of cases. So vendor and supply chain security are critical components of your overall security strategy. The interconnected nature of modern business ecosystems means that vulnerabilities can be in one part of the supply chain, and they could connect through to other parts of your systems and have far-reaching consequences. Here's why some of these things are so important. You have an extended attack surface. When you have vendors and partners that multiple partners are connected into your environment, it's an entry point that could infect across all of those systems. It's a single weak link can compromise an entire supply chain. Third-party access is very important. Remember the target breach. Vendors often have access to sensitive data or critical systems. Do you know what vendors have access to what systems? What levels of access do they have? Does it let them go across to other networks, other systems within your environment? Or do you have it isolated just to what they're supposed to work on and just what they should have access to as far as data? Sensitive information. Vendors handle sensitive data, such as customer information or proprietary business data, and breaches can expose this information, which can cause financial loss and reputational damage. Organizations are held accountable most of the time for breaches involving third parties because in vendor management, we hired the vendors. So we're responsible to make sure we hire quality vendors and that we're managing them and monitoring them to make sure that our data is handled the way we expect it to be handled if we were handling it. And these things are required as part of GDPR, HIPAA, FFIEC, and CCPA for the California Consumer Protection Agency. Now I'll talk about regulatory compliance. Regulatory compliance and adhering to industry-specific standards for cybersecurity is crucial for organizations to protect their data, maintain the trust, and avoid legal and financial penalties. And why this is so important is, again, GLBA, SOX, HIPAA, these are required and can come with hefty fines, not to mention the legal ramifications of lawsuits post-breach or loss of data, and ongoing litigation, which can be very expensive. In addition, customer trust. Adhering to cybersecurity standards helps build and maintain customer trust. Consumers are more likely to do business with you and the company that demonstrates a commitment to protecting their data. Reputation. High profile data breaches can severely damage your reputation. So it's always best to have a cybersecurity compliant approach. Now I'd like to talk about continuous monitoring and assessment. Continuous monitoring is a critical component of your strategy. This helps your organization detect and respond to threats in real time, maintain compliance, and improve your overall security posture. Some of the best practices for continuous monitoring and assessment include continuous monitoring that provides early detection. And you want a good system that monitors for any issues, but it also lets you filter out any anomalies or false positives. So, it's not a system that's always alarming, but it does alarm on the things that need to be escalated and be dealt with as significant. Early detection helps you minimize an incident The quicker you are aware of something, the quicker you can take action to mitigate and reduce the potential damage and downtime. Um, Continuous monitoring should provide your team with timely information, and the goal is to reduce response times. In addition, ongoing assessments for the root cause should be handled, and the monitoring will help provide that data, and that data should be stored in a secure location where a bad actor can't get to it to delete it, or they have access to it. Um, and cybersecurity as a business priority. My next topic. Cybersecurity has to be a business priority in today's environment. Most everything runs on systems. There's lots of confidential data, financial data, healthcare data. Um, Systems can't afford to be down with ransomware for weeks or months at a time. So it's a business priority. High profile data breaches can result in exposure of lots of sensitive data. For example, the Equifax breach in 2017 exposed the personal information of 147 million people. So it led to severe financial and reputational damage to that company. And that's just one example. You can think about all the ones you see in the news, and then think about all the litigation, the downtime, the loss of customer confidence, and some businesses never recover. It's a disaster. Some businesses never recover from that. So the best practices, um, executive support has to be included in cybersecurity. Ensure your top executives understand the importance of cybersecurity, and they're committed to supporting cybersecurity initiatives and investments. Make sure you have someone in your organization, like a chief information security officer, to manage and oversee the cybersecurity strategy and monitor it ongoing to make sure it's in place and effective. You should also develop a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy that includes risk management. So understand where your risks are, where your data are, and you can react to it appropriately. And then invest in the tools for your environment. Cybersecurity tools such as SIMs, endpoint protection, threat intelligence platforms are what is appropriate for your environment. So thank you for your participating in my cybersecurity best practices. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Thank you, Jeff, so much for that valuable information shared with us today. And thank you to everyone for joining us. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions that may come to mind associated with the material shared today. We appreciate your joining us. Best wishes to all. Thank you.